Ex-analysts. Empowering analysts, transforming markets.
Hi Nader, good to have you here. And I want to spend some time, we are in Fujairah, trying to understand the energy markets. And you are in this region long. I want to ask you, what do you do? But the core thing which I want from this conversation is to really get a glimpse on how your journey as an analyst, the analyst inside you has been, and what kind of competencies have served you very well through that journey. And obviously at the end, I do want to ask you what kind of, let's say, insights you want to share with the next generation of analysts who are emerging in the age of AI. So let's start with, tell me about yourself and then take a little bit of the journey of the analyst over the years inside you.
Sure, thank you, Mukesh. In terms of my journey, I think, well, first thing I have to say is, now I see myself as a bit of an analyst, but obviously my journey didn't start as an analyst. By trade, essentially, I'm a journalist. I'm now the Mideast Gulf editor at Argus Media. So I've been doing this for about 15 years. I think in the first few years of this kind of journey that I've had, I was primarily, it's about facts. It's about making sure that you're telling the story that actually exists rather than, putting in your own kind of twist or feel of your own thoughts. This really wasn't supposed to be what part of my job was. Okay. But over time, you build expertise.
Don't mix.
Yeah, as a journalist, people expect the news. People expect facts, and then it's up to them to essentially establish what they think about those facts, right? So over time, that suited me because, you're at the start of your journey, you're learning along the way, right? But I think, given I've been doing this for over 10, 15 years, over time, you build expertise. It just happens over time. You, through obviously learning, active learning, but also just speaking to your network, speaking to people, going to conferences, having conversations like we're having now. You build information, build knowledge over this period of time. And with that knowledge comes confidence in your subject matter. People start referring to you as a subject matter expert. And then you start to believe it, in fact,
Okay, yeah.
So over time, as that confidence builds in you, that's when you can sort of choose to take that step and say, you know what, I have views, I want to back my views, I want to share my views, I want to discuss my views with other people and have these conversations that frankly have become the most interesting part of my everyday job. So I think sort of if I'm going to think about the analyst side of me, I think probably maybe 5-6 years ago, I finally took that step. And I've kind of never looked back because it's essentially, I've always enjoyed the fact that I have my own views, I have my own thoughts, and I want to hear what other people have to think about them. And the interesting, for me personally, the interesting part was, I think 10 years ago, I will always remember, being a journalist, sitting by the phone, trying to get people to give me quotes for stories I'm writing, thinking, it'd be really interesting if I could be on the other side of that conversation one day. And here we are 10 years later, I'm having people reach out to me to get my view on certain subjects. So that's my journey with analysis, and it's been wonderful. And I couldn't.
So if I would really, I think this is a aha moment for me, that when you start as a journalist, then even if you have a view, you keep it separate because you want to do what is happening.
In theory, you should.
And then as you gain more domain knowledge, experience, confidence, then you do want your views out there, and then you connect. So in this process, right, what things did you do? Any trainings, any mentoring from someone? And when you acquired some sort of a skill or a competency, you felt that, this lifted my quality or my whatever I was doing. Anything that comes to your mind?
There's many things. I think first and foremost, it's just you have to be willing to take in as much information as possible and be open to all kinds of views, just so you can help yourself start building your own kind of path, your own sense of what you think is right, wrong. That's one. So that first thing would just be just consume as much as you can and be open-minded at this fact. Beyond that, I think it's really about learning. Beyond that, it's just learn. If you're looking at your subject matter, basically you're mentioning trainings. Luckily, I'm in a company that's a big company with a lot of training opportunities, and having people around me that I could have access to, who I felt were mentor characters in my life, that was very important. Because there are moments in people's lives where you look around you and you think, I'm doing fine, but I don't see anyone obvious around me that I can learn from. So having that mentoring character around you is critical. So be that managers, be that just someone in your life where you can reach out to and just say, you know, this has come up, I want to discuss it, and they'll have your ear. So that's also a fantastic opportunity when it comes to analysis. And then beyond that, I mean, even if you want to look specifically at trainings, if we're talking about the energy industry, I mean,
you are in the Middle East.
I'm in the Middle East.
And oil is a big thing here.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you have learned to do and look at the market in a certain way, connecting the dots in a certain way, which anybody who wants to do analysis and understand the Middle East oil market, they cannot ignore it. What comes to that mind that this is what you need to really think about?
I think one thing I've noticed most, especially given my company is one which is international, we have offices in other countries. You're right, me being here, I think my sense of what is happening here would be different to a colleague in, let's say, the UK or Singapore. And culturally, that's critical. You have to understand your environment, you have to understand why people are saying what they are and what it actually means. So this is getting to the crux of essentially what the words behind the words. So is that a skill? Yes, that's developed over time. I don't think there's necessarily
you can do something about it, yeah?
Yeah, that's more just about, again, keeping an open mind and asking questions. You have to be willing to ask questions and take in the answers. So, but when you're talking about oil and you're talking about this region, we were talking about, you know, different agencies, different knowledge providers. The facts are, I think everybody, especially in an industry like ours that we're looking at, everybody has, maybe agenda is an ugly word, but everybody has their book.
Bias.
Everyone has their bias, everyone has their book. They want to go and basically sell a vision to you. That's okay, that's natural, and it's on us to basically be in a position to understand what is reality and what is noise. So again, whether this is something specifically you can go and read somewhere, not necessarily, but over time, you're able to filter out what I think we both called noise. And that's critical in this industry because there's a lot of noise a lot of the time.
No, fantastic. So if I drill down to a question which I believe in today's day and age, you want to understand what is OPEX agent strategy, right? For example, you go and ask a question in ChatGPT and you will get an answer. They're going after price war, they're going after market share and all those things. So how a person who is getting into this space and young and wants to really build their own perspective about OPEC, yes, they can start with an AI and a ChatGPT answer, but what will you say to someone? Do whatever you have to do, but don't get this wrong.
Yeah.
What is that?
Oof. Basically, I would say do not buy into the first point of view that you hear, and don't necessarily fall into the trap of taking on board the loudest voice, because sometimes the loudest voice isn't the right voice.
That's a very good point.
So, I mean, you have to look at the stakeholders involved and do your best essentially to get into that kind of hive where people are discussing things. Speak to them. Try to find a way to speak to them, and if you can't, maybe 1 degree of separation. Get to understand where these decisions are being made and in what context, because that is going to give you a lifetime of groundwork and basis on which to build any analysis you're going to have in the future. I think that's going to be critical.
I think you made an excellent point that don't follow the loudest, because there will be loudest voice. And to conclude, maybe I'm tempted to ask now, there is a meeting coming up, OPEC, and everybody is saying they will increase the barrel. Let's just use this as an example. And how are you building? One is to give your view, which I do want to hear, let's say, but how do you reach and build that view and communicate to others in this specific context? What would you say is the OPEC going to do, and how do you get to that view?
So this is tough because these kinds of decisions that are being made on a monthly basis are becoming incredibly political. I think in the past we could look at it and think this is purely fundamentals. What's happening? What do they need to do? Here we have our answer. And there was years where, month on month on month, I think I had a fantastic track record of I could tell every month what they're going to do. And at some point, it even became boring. And I love OPEC. So it just became a very strange situation. Now I'm in a situation where every time I feel like I'm on the verge and I got it, something happens. This is essentially a formula. I mean, the formula here is because you have obviously a lot of external factors. It's not just the fundamentals. You have bigger things at play. You have the characters that are involved today. You have Prince Abdulaziz, who loves a good surprise. He loves to pull the rug from under people's feet when they feel that they're confident. As, you know, I got it. I know this is going to happen. So, and the fact is, we are seeing reporting now. We always see reporting from 1 week before the meeting saying this is about to happen. I am not going to sit here and say this person's right, that person's wrong. The truth is, they might as well be. One of these things will absolutely be right ultimately, right? But have they actually gone into a room and said, this is what we're going to do? The fact is no.
No, okay.
You know, 1 week is a long time. For oil markets, it's a lifetime. Things happen. And truthfully now, given all the different factors that are at play, when it comes to spare capacity, when it comes to the fundamentals in the market, when it comes to, you know, the actual barrels that are come on versus the paper barrels, there's a lot of things at play here. So I think until they have to sit into that room and say, look, we have a group of, 8 countries now, we have to make sure you guys are all on board. Let's try to come up with policy that works. There's going to be some last minute, horse trading. I don't know about surprise, but there's going to be horse trading.
Negotiation,
so,
yeah.
Yeah. What are they going to do? I think it's a given personally that they're going to go and increase. Are they going to go the whole hog and just do 500,000 barrels per day? I don't want to say yes or no. It's a possibility.
We'll see.
Because as far as I'm concerned, they're still in a place where they could possibly announce this, deliver much less to the market because in terms, this is a headline figure versus an actual figure, and the market still absorbs it. And as long as they're able to do this and the market accepts it, why not? Go out there, clean.
I think you make a very excellent point that one is a perception that's getting created and it works, then they will repeat. Yeah. The moment they find out just is not enough. So to crux and sum it up, Nader, what I felt from this conversation is one, don't fall in love with others' analysis, question them. And another point you made was don't fall in love with your own analysis as well and be open for some critical thinking. Yeah. And things can change, like you said, that you were getting OPEC right, and then things change. So don't fall in love with analysis, and don't just believe the loudest voice. And probably that's about it. Well, fantastic. Thank you very much, and what a conversation.
Thank you, Mukesh. Appreciate it.